think he's a total spoofer. What's he being a spoofer? This is bullshit.
Wolves coming back from an offside position, but Shane Long was definitely onside. Shane Long has done it!
I'm going to enjoy tonight.
And you should as well.
Thanks very much.
Well done.
But
unless he's breastfeeding, he should be alright.
I can only have 2 words after the news that broke this week, especially following our ranting and raving podcast last week. Those 2 words, of course, with the help of our friend, are
Mucho Betis.
Mucho Betis indeed. Not a move to West Ham for Troy Parrott. He's made the smart move, we would say. It's an excellent move. One of the most exciting transfers in recent Irish history. Anyways, Troy Parrott has joined Real Betis and is set to make his debut tomorrow night against Valencia. James, first of all, last week we ranted and raved about Troy Parrott's potential move to West Ham. That's off. What are your thoughts?
An Irish player has finally turned down a move to the English Championship. I don't know if I could believe my eyes when I seen this, to be honest. I kind of had accepted that Troy would go to West Ham and that Harlan Raider will be in crisis. But yeah, initial thoughts, it's a brilliant move for him. Going to play Champions League football rather than playing Championship football, which is just an obvious decision. But for many Irish players, it's not a decision that really they would have made in a lot of different cases. And yeah, I think said today that he'll travel with the Betis team for their trip to Valencia on Tuesday night. So could make his debut tomorrow, which would be, I think it could be on Premier Sport maybe. So
yeah, I imagine they'll have a lot of the games there. He's on the squad list for tomorrow, so he is traveling. I'll address what today's show is. We are going to do a slightly late season preview heading into with all the major leagues starting, what the season might look like for an Irish perspective. We did an article on this last year, so it was a bit lighthearted, a bit of fun, which we'd like to have with this. We're just going to bring that in a podcast format. We're going to, of course, start on the Troy Parrott thing. We're going a bit more. We're also going to introduce our guest. We have 2 of our best and regular contributors from the season just gone. Of course, in the studio with me today is Donald Thomson. Donald, how are you doing?
I'm good. I'm excited to give my terrible takes on the upcoming season. There's some zingers in here now.
I bet. And then to balance those terrible takes a bit, we've got Conall Diggin, who's banned from talking about Kerry FC for today. Conall, how are you going?
Good. I'm looking forward to Troy Parrott, Keith Andrews, talking about Evan Ferguson. A lot about Evan Ferguson. I have a lot of notes on Evan Ferguson, and you'll understand why when I start talking about Evan Ferguson and how I'm actually optimistic for him.
the return of the prodigal son.
Let's start on Troy because we got there, but I assume that everyone is happy with the move. We had a message in a group chat that me and James are in this week that there's already maybe a potential trip away touted to Seville that we have to look into to all go over, enjoy the city and enjoy some beautiful Troy Parrott football. The flights are pretty cheap over there, so could be happening. Harlan Radar in Seville sometimes.
Real fans go to Udine. Real fans go to Udine to watch James Abankwa.
Yeah. We've talked a bit about Troy Parrott already. I don't think you can get a better move. He's going to be coached by Manuel Pellegrini, which is incredible. And they have a team that have a pretty good midfield. Of course, they've got Isco still there. I think Pablo Fornals had a very good season there last season. And they have the Miracle Anthony, of course, who seems to be enjoying life in La Liga an awful lot more than he was in Spain. And something that came up with that Anthony deal as well was when they did buy him off Manchester United, it was like that Real Betis aren't a team that is used to spending money that often or them kinds of money, despite being recently a Champions League level team in La Liga. I think to go out and spend that money on Troy Parrott is a real show of faith and show of confidence in him.
Yeah, I was looking at their transfer records earlier on Transfermarkt, and I think he's still only like their seventh record signing or something. Even with Betis like not really being a club in Spain that spends a lot of money. Like the only thing I would say about this move is like not like Betis wouldn't be a club that are known for kind of flipping players and selling them to the like European elite. Like I was having a look at recent seasons who's kind of left and went on to maybe bigger clubs. And Johnny Cardoso to Atletico Madrid and Jesus Rodriguez to Como were like the only two I found last season who they've kind of left Betis and moved on to bigger or kind of a better platform for them in their career. So that's probably the only maybe Downside is Betis' history of players going on to bigger and better things after they leave. But like that's kind of just me being kind of picky in general. I'm absolutely delighted with the move, and like it's just such a better platform for him to go to Betis, to play in the Champions League, and if he's able to score 15 to 20 goals, like he'll be on the radar of a lot of top clubs across Europe, and he will not be just kind of just a target for like lower league Premier League or mid-table Premier League clubs. I think his choice of clubs will become much more diverse, which is what we've been preaching on here for God knows how long.
And Conall, if I said to you, as you know, as a Liverpool fan, of course, would your opinion on Adrian change if I told you that he was key, supposedly, to this move, that he was making phone calls and getting this move sorted, of course, according to David Snade in the 42.
Making more transfers than Richard Hughes. I mean, I think this is a really good move. I mean, when you sent me kind of what we were going to be talking about today, I went through basically since Pellegrini has taken over Betis, and one of their strikers scored 10 league goals in every season, bar 2 seasons ago. He's been there 5 years now. They have Cucho Hernandez, who people remember from the World Cup, doing the like amazing things to keep the ball in play and then crossing it in for Colombia, and they scored. I think James was working that match. You tell me if I'm right, James.
I believe so. Was it against maybe Uzbekistan?
It was their, I think, yeah. I think it was their first match, because it was too late for me because I was too busy working the next day. But like they have a lot of really good playmakers, Isco and Anthony as well. Obviously, Ezelawi is probably the best player on this team. Moroccan
I'm surprised he
winger.
hasn't got a move. He's been touted a lot in the kind
Yeah,
of.
He's
I think
valued at
he's
40 million or something on transfer market. I see
and
earlier.
he's young enough as well. Pellegrini is obviously, I think, has been one of the most underrated managers for the last 20 years.
Not young, of course, Pellegrini, famously so.
And then at least like the way I see it is like from looking at the data as well, Spain is one of the lowest scoring leagues in Europe. It's like about 2.7 or 2.5 goals per game. So, if he doesn't score 20 goals, it's not the end of the world. It's a very technical league, which I think will probably suit Troy Parrott coming from the Netherlands as well, where he'll probably be allowed to drop in and be able to play balls to the two wingers as well, if he needs to. So I think this is a good move for him. And I think the way you could kind of put it is, if all else fails, he probably still gets a move to England, but it's just going to be for a bad team. And then if this goes really well, then like Atletico Madrid, all the top teams in England, top teams in Italy and stuff, that's just going to put them in their shop window even more, I think.
It does feel like a perfect step at this stage in his career, and obviously like he is just in both of his, like, on the pitch, and I mean one look at his Instagram off the pitch too, he's just oozing confidence. If there's any place to go where it looks like, especially harking back to the Anthony move, where it's like you will be loved by the fans at a team like that. I think a lot of people in Spain said Betis are the bigger club out of, or fan base wise, out of the two teams in Seville, but I haven't done any polling myself on that, so I cannot confirm that. But like, if you go by their social media, my God, they love him already. Like, there's something like 20 odd posts in the last couple of days about Troy Parrott signing. So I think, as in the Ireland radar perspective, which is the most important thing, of course, in all of this, I think there's just no reason for us not to be happy. Now,
I do believe Betis, just to intervene, I did go there, visit Seville, and the only shop, or like, well, Betis was the only like club shop in the city. There was no Sevilla one I couldn't find anyway, so maybe that does answer your question.
I've always preferred Betis over Sevilla. Sevilla are Europa League merchants. They fell off since Monchi left, since Unai Emery left, and I've always said that Betis, what is it, Mucho Betis.
Always been a great career mode team as well.
Oh yeah,
massive career mode team.
What I was going to move on to, and we're absolutely cheating with this, I think, next prediction, or kind of look into the next season, where I think it's we're coming off the back of Brentford beating Tottenham 3-0, and we're going to ask about the Keith Andrews and Damien Duff partnership. Andrews, of course, confirmed. There was a bit of confusion in the game where the man sitting beside Andrews, the one giving him all the talking into the ear, wasn't Damien Duff, and we're kind of watching the game going, what's going on here? I thought Damien Duff was meant to be an assistant coach. It seems like he's got two assistant coaches with, like, strangely similar titles, but Duff, or Andrews confirmed more so that Duffer is his number 2. Kelleher and Collins have also been full of praise. Of course, we had a chat on our radar with the Brentford Fan podcast a couple of weeks back, probably a couple of months back by now, about what this might look like. But what are we expecting from Damien Duff's addition to Brentford? If it goes anything from that Spurs game, it looks like Brentford have kind of evolved as a team over the summer, very much kind of playing on the front foot in a lot of portions in that game. Obviously, Sangari already been touted as an impressive signing. If all goes well for them, there's a lot of teams in transition this year, almost, maybe half the league. Could they be pushing for a European spot that they just missed out on last season?
What I definitely say is like Damien Duff being hired at Brentford wasn't like a kind of all pals hire. Like this was like Brentford are one of the smartest clubs in Europe, obviously driven by data analytics. Like this wasn't just kind of Duff getting a job because he's out of work. Like I think it was reported by Dan McDonald in the Independent that like Duff got the job based on a presentation which he made to the staff at Brentford, where like he offered a breakdown on like where they could improve, and he obviously got the job after that. Stephen Rice is obviously there as well. And I think just more kind of generally, like it's just good to have somewhat of an Irish story at a football club in the Premier League, because year on year, like it does, seeing Irish involved in the Premier League just kind of does seem to be shrinking. So to have obviously a number 1 and a number 2 at a Premier League club, both being Irish, obviously having Kelleher and Collins there too, is just kind of just a really good story for Irish football. And as I said, with kind of Irish involvement in the Premier League getting less and less every year, it's just it'll be a nice story to follow on this season. And definitely, as you said, like with the amount of clubs in the Premier League kind of seemingly in rebuilds, like it really is there for them to really make a push for Europe. I know they kind of fell away at the end of last season, but going off the first game of the season, which is never a smart thing to do, it definitely could be on the cards for them.
Just throw in that like they were really good at the weekend, and like Brentford is almost the perfect club for Damien Duff. Like if you think about everything he was saying, about whether it be the League of Ireland or the FAI or anything like that, his problem was that everything wasn't as organized or as controlled as he would want it to be. And, there was problems everywhere. And if you were to pick, one club in the world, it would be Brentford or Brighton as, the team who have this kind of perfect control all around them. And I think that's why Duff has kind of fit in so well here, is because it's almost like his dream, not his dream job maybe, but it's exactly how, if he was to set up a club from scratch, this is exactly probably how he would end up doing it.
Yeah, and
like he used to be trying to find accommodation for players and all for shells on Daft.
Yeah.
Like
I don't know if that's
to go
just
from
a,
that to
I
Brentford
don't know if
is-
that's just a Duff thing. I think that could be a League of Ireland thing, because I've heard stories of Caulfield doing the same.
I know, but just going from that environment to
Yeah.
like
Caulfield
Brentford, where
is
it's
Galway United.
Yeah, that's true. He is just Galway at this stage. I think the other point, actually, when me and Donald were walking to the studio that we were making, was that like some of the better assistant managers in world football are just nutcases. Like they're just mental, and like whether it be like the fact that they benefit from like the players not having that intensity 100% of it because they're kind of off on the side, or if they're just not good at communicating it. Now Duff is in an interesting place where it's like he's had a managerial job before, where he showed he can be a serious overachiever, which teams like Brentford are going to like. It just, I think, begs the question, and it was rumored that he was offered EFL jobs as well. What's Duff's end game going to be like out of this? Or what does it look like? Do you think he's a coach that will be happy to be assistant for a couple of years, or is he hoping this steps him up into a bigger role? Tom, do you want to answer this?
Like, yeah, is he vying for like promotion almost? Like, is he waiting for someone to snap up Keith Andrews and he kind of steps into that role if Brentford continue like their promote from within almost? But also, like, would he also want to maybe take his ideas elsewhere and kind of shape a club in his image, like a lower league club, instead of, kind of get all the credit himself instead of supposedly piggybacking off Andrew's ideas and evolving them himself? It's going to be an interesting year, I think, for him. I think we'll see a lot of rumours around him next summer, like definitely. But I think Brentford can definitely, I think Brentford could finish top 6. And I think it'll look great on his CV.
Yeah, I think for him as well, that you're taking like people at this level, although they have maybe looked at him in championship level because he was a high profile player, more seriously, like they're not going to take from a League of Ireland team. But if he's a League of Ireland team who's one of the best overachieving victories the Irish division has seen in a long time with Shelbourne, and especially seeing how they fell off a bit afterwards. But then when you give him assistant manager Premier League experience, does that mean a Premier League team is going to look at him? Or is he perhaps even, I don't know what you think about this, is he waiting for Hallgrimsson's next 2 years to be up? Is he going to do 2 years with Andrews and be like, that's great experience. Now, do you know what? Now seems like a time for the Ireland job. Now it seems like there's water under the bridge with the FAI, just a bit more of experience. And of course, he was already learning from Andrews a couple of times over the year visiting him. So it does seem like a good environment for him. But again, you would question his next step.
You can't even dream about something like that. I honestly have no words to describe the emotions right now.
Well, and Nathan, thanks you.
That's Troy Parrott. That is unbelievable. He scored a hat-trick. They've made the unbelievable come to pass. They were out of contention.
To go down in the game twice and then to come back like that is it's beautiful.
So we have 2 unanswered questions that have been plaguing us for a while now. We'll start with the Seamus Coleman problem. Obviously, it was kind of expected that he would have a new club by now, while still remaining unattached. Ireland have a right-back issue that we thought we could have postponed for another 6 months to a year with him training. You've seen how excellent his performances were in late qualifying. But without a club, it's hard to expect him to get minutes when he hasn't been training all summer in an Ireland squad in the next couple of weeks. I mean, what do our options even look like out there? It looks like we'll have to perhaps play centre back there. I mean, which is aided by a pretty good centre back depth. But the actual right backs you're talking about in the squad, maybe Festy Abaselli, Matt Doherty, or if we are expecting Sam Curtis to have an emerging season, it's not a strong case for anyone. So, Conall, do you want to? Whose name would you like to put in the hat for Ireland's right back option going forward?
I mean, for me, I think this will come back to my thoughts on this later, and it'll end up coming up again later on, because I think my opinion is probably for the next game. I think it will just be Jake O'Brien will probably be the right back. I think it's not ideal. I've always preferred him as a centre back. I think, especially in the channels, because of his pace, it just allows him to make the most of that. And also, if you're playing a 5 at the back, he'd actually be a much better right back in a 4 back than a 5 back, because he doesn't need to get forward as much, and you can throw the left back up more. But that's obviously not how we play. But going forward, I wouldn't say I would trust him all that much. But I think it's him. Whether do any other guys? I mean, Will Ferry, I don't know. Is he more of James will probably correct me. Is he more a left back than a right back? I'm not 100%.
He's left, yeah.
Yeah, he's left. Sorry, I always thought he was a right back. Festy Abaselli, I just can't see him, getting in. I also don't think he's good enough defensively. Matt Doherty, again, I would just rather not. He's actually not played bad for Ireland kind of since coming back, but I'm grand with Matt Doherty. And then Sam Curtis, I think, again, I wouldn't mind calling him up, but I don't think he might not even play next time if he does get called up.
Yeah, he's probably going to get a loan move, considering that Matt Doherty is at the same club. Maybe a late move in the window. He's someone. I mean, James, you were a super fan of his for a while, but he hasn't really kicked on as of yet. Although, of course, still a young player. Interestingly, Conall, you were saying about Jake O'Brien at right back. If it's anything like it has looked like in early Hamer's his games, don't want to see that at all. I do think it will be a centre back. I do think, because we've got many options there, it's easier to do it. I think O'Brien and Collins look great together as well as a centre back partnership, albeit with O'Shea. But interestingly, O'Shea started in Ipswich opening winner against Sunderland this week as a right back.
Would you rather O'Shea at right back over O'Brien? I feel.
My only problem is O'Shea plays left centre back for Ireland, though. So I think they would much rather just keep him at left centre back than on the right hand side.
James, from what I've seen of O'Brien, right wing back for Ireland, though, he just looks like so, in such an unnatural position. And I just feel like the way Ireland plays obviously revolves around getting balls in the box, and Jake O'Brien isn't really natural at doing that. I think it would probably depend on what system we go for. Like, if we if we stick to playing 4 at the back and have O'Brien right back and have him sit and have maybe someone more attacking on the left, like Manning or Ferry, maybe it works. But I just don't see a world where O'Brien can play as like a sort of a wing back for Ireland. A name I would throw is Danny McNamara. I know. I'm not sure how like if he's committed to Ireland internationally yet. But he's started I think every game for Charlton so far in the championship this season. Given the dearth of options, like a right back playing the championship level, like it's kind of has to really be in contention. So it'd be interesting to see if maybe he gets approached to come in September. I think Ebisele, if he's playing in Turkey, if he's playing regularly, there isn't really many other options to bring in bar him. But then again, like similar to Frimpong, I thought against Newcastle, he attacks. Obviously, like the Ebisele's main asset is his pace, but like I see him as a right wing back, and he's not defensively. There's obviously questions there. So it's definitely still kind of an issue, which, as Dylan said, is probably going to be really resolved by a centre back moving over there. But I think Danny McNamara is one to definitely throw out.
Yeah, and James, just before we pass on this, do you want to give his new club, Ebisele, of course, do you want to give that a pronunciation for us?
Erzurumspor
Yeah,
of the Turkish Super League.
Yeah, that's it. Right, I'll get our finalized answer on this in 1 second, but I'm going to give my obvious propaganda here and tell you who I think it will be. And I think we've gotten a lot of clues in the recent friendlies. I think he is going to give it to James Abankwah, and although he has been a centre back, I think, we've talked on the show previously that Hamer's like a fan of athletic players. He's obviously very quick. When he's come in for the Ireland squad, he hasn't been playing centre back. He's been playing as that right wing back. I think maybe in Hamer's eyes, you get the best of a defensively able player there who's quick enough to do a bit of running, very physical, and adds height into the box. I do think it's going to be him. He's brought him on for sizable minutes in all the friendlies, and he's been included in the last 2 or 3 camps. Spoke glowingly of him, and obviously will depend on how much minutes he'll get at Udinese this season, but definitely did have a good season for Watford and a half season before that as well. So that's who I think it is. Isn't just a Longford connection. I do think the hints have been dropped there by when in recent games the only player really that's been playing right back that isn't James Coleman has been Abankwah, and I think it will be him in our next few games.
I like this but I disagree because I think it will be O'Brien, but I think James Abankwah will be the starting centre back to take his place. That's my opinion. So I just think it'll be flipped basically the other way around. But I do like I think whichever one it is, it's not ideal, but it's you just have to throw someone there eventually. Unless it came to me in the middle of James talking, like if we didn't have all the problems at midfield and kind of needed him to play, I feel like if there was one player who you just give it to and he would maybe do a job would be Jason Knight. Like he used to play on the wing at the start of his career, and his whole thing is that like he plays every minute of every game for Bristol City, so we know he can run. And if you're just trying to get him up and down the wing, he's solid enough defensively. Like that's kind of like you're playing Football Manager and you're like, oh, my right back got sent off, but I don't have one on the bench. Let's throw the lad who can cross the ball and tackle in at right back. That's kind of the solution there, but that's the best way I see could happen.
He played centre back for portions of Bristol City's season last year. I don't know if it's maybe a right centre back and a back three, but I like it. I think it could work, and it's definitely somebody who can pass the ball a bit better, which I think is going to help us progress the ball. I'm going to move on there. We've given plenty of options as well. Now, the issue that we talked about for maybe 99% of the Ireland Radar running time last year is how the midfield issue is shaping up. You think of all we talked about it, that it's going to be sorted by now, and it still really hasn't. The man that's supposed to be the Messiah, Bosun Lawal, we've heard from our Ireland Radar colleague, that Ronan, from asking around the local area, that they do not see him as a central midfield player in the Swaddis, that he's very much a centre back at club level. He is probably the player that's going to come in and play alongside Cullen, most likely. Although that seems a bit harsh maybe on Malumbi, who's been excellent in all of Ireland's recent games. But do we see a fix for this down the line? James, I'm going to come to you on this one first, because I know you've had a few ideas for this.
Yeah, Cullen is still injured for the next window, I believe. I think he's out till December. So, like Jack Taylor and Alan Brown, obviously both in the Premier League for how long? It's kind of a question, because neither were in their opening day match day squads for their clubs. Like both like might find moves before the window closes, but like they're two of our most experienced midfield players. Will Smallbone still doesn't have a club, like so. I think either by force rather than actual like Heimer actually wanted to shake up the midfield is probably going to happen anyway, just given the kind of lack of options and at the minute players not our most senior players not playing any football. So I think like it's pretty likely that there probably will be a bit of a shake up in the midfield. Harvey Vale, who obviously um came in for the Prague camp, he's played kind of as a deep midfielder for QPR so far this season. So like Josh Cullen, who has played that position for however many years for us, won't be available in September. We're going to need to find someone who is akin to him, who's good technically, who can help us build out, and he could be that kind of option. Boston Noel, obviously, who's continuing to play centre half for Stoke, which is a small bit of a worry if we're kind of looking to have him in midfield. The one thing I would say of like I remember watching him for Fleetwood in League One, and I thought he looked pretty at home playing in midfield. Obviously, it's a level below the championship, but given the dearth of options, even though he isn't playing in midfield for his club, I wouldn't really be against trialing him there internationally. Couple of kind of outside the box options then. Jacob Devaney, who I'm really high on, had a brilliant loan spell at Semir last season. He moved to Hibs on loan this week, who surprisingly actually have an option to buy as well. Hibs, who could be in the Conference League group stage this season as well. So could be a really exciting move for him. And if he's playing week in, week out, like given the dearth of midfield options, as I said, like he could be in there. And Jack Moylan as well. I'm not gonna say any more about Jack Moylan. Whatever's needed to be said has been said there. But yeah, I think there probably will be a refresh if Heimer wants to or not. Doesn't really matter because just the dearth of options there and the lack of players playing, and obviously Cullen out as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how it develops over the next few months.
I think James has touched all the bases that we need there for if we're to play with the same setup with a holding midfielder and you know, it's still a combative midfielder but not sinning as much. But the question still begged in the last couple of our games, especially now we're probably going to be playing teams on relatively similar or worse levels than us in not one-off knockout games where you can have a bit more expressive freedom. One complaint is that we needed more creative midfielders in the midfield. Is this something we want a solution to? You know, I mean, I've always liked the idea of maybe of certain moments in games of dropping Finn Azaz deeper, where we have had him in the last 10 minutes of games before, and he's looked, granted, you can't always judge by small sample size like that, but he has looked effective, and it has looked like something that Ireland has needed. Of course, when you have such a quick attack, it's always good to have players in those positions to be able to put balls in behind. But Donald, is that something you'd like to see? Is that to trial some players with, you know, a bit more creative freedom alongside a more defensive side of midfielder?
Yeah, like I was an advocate like when Harvey Vale was when he was declared, I was kind of hopeful that he'd be played in the midfield as like that option that can play those like kind of line breaking passes almost. Like yeah, I think I like the contrasting with like I'm a fan of like a contrasting midfield of like kind of somebody who can like sweep everything up and then somebody else who can play those passes forward. So like that's why I'd be interested in like Harvey Vale there, or even somebody who can progress the ball like Jack Moylan as well. But yeah, like I'm worried about the injuries that are happening in that midfield as well. Like Jason Malumbi over the weekend went off with, it looked like he did his hamstring like completely as well. It's worrying for those internationals coming up. Like, but yeah, I'd love some creativity in the midfield. Like, even dropping Finn Azaz there.
Like Jason Malumbi as well. It's just someone I always want to see play for Ireland after his recent games, because he's been someone I've enjoyed watching at this stage now. But yeah, I would say, yeah, I like the idea of dropping somebody deeper. I mean, we've seen it a bit in friendlies where Andrew Moore, like he was playing in a number 2. Now, maybe that was because of less options, but that was with Jack Moylan playing forward. I don't think you're going to get Jack Moylan in a deeper position. I think he's more so a player that wants to be around the box and more of an attacking threat more than a creative one, of course. But yeah, it'd be interesting to see what it goes for. Of course, Harry Vale has been playing deeper in the first couple of games of the QPR season, which is very beneficial to us, obviously, as well. A very versatile player. So, I mean, he's going to be one of the more exciting things to keep an eye on going into the Nations League camp, because he isn't someone we've seen an awful lot of yet in an Ireland shirt. Of course, only getting like, 5 minutes or so? We're going to see why the FAI were pushing so hard to get him. And I think that is one of the things to look forward to in terms of an Ireland midfield. Now, I'm going to move on to Someone that we had a little section on the show of last year who, killed a bit of time for us, but it looked like things were going to go well until the fallout was all too familiar. Evan Ferguson, we focus an awful lot on doom and gloom about him, but don't want to hear any of that today. I just want to hear all goes well for Evan Ferguson this season, or a decent season. What could a good season for Evan Ferguson look like? Conall, you have reams of notes you've told me about this, so
Yeah.
you seem like the obvious
Um,
person to start with here.
Yeah, so there's talk of him going on loan to Genoa, because Brighton nearly have too many strikers. Like they just signed Promise David, who's kind of, he's taller than Ferguson, but he is kind of the similar sort of mold. They have two highly rated Greek strikers in Kostoulas and Simas, and then they obviously have Jorginho Rutter, who started for them this weekend as well. So he's only 22. And he's he's going to be 22 in a month and a half, which is the same age as Troy was when he moved to AZ Alkmaar. So a successful loan in a small, but he also, Troy Parrott had a successful loan with Excelsior. He scored like 17 goals the season before he transferred. So I was looking through the leagues in Europe for most goals scored, least goals scored. Troy has gone to one of the lowest scoring leagues, and so Evan looks like he's also going to one of the lowest scoring leagues, which is great. But I also think that means if you're looking at pure goal output as your barometer of them having a good season, then I think you're missing the point almost. You just need to you need to look at goals, how he's holding up the ball, because that's his bread and butter almost. So looking through all of that, the high scoring leagues are the Bundesliga, Eredivisie, and Ligue 1, and then Scotland and England are also within that top five. This is 25, 26 or 24, 25 data, I think. So it could have changed, but like he's a player who's been playing senior soccer since he was 15 years old. The body obviously needs to adapt to that because he's obviously put on so much more muscle at a younger age that his body hasn't been able to catch up with that, and the injuries don't help with that. But I recently read Kira McGeehan's book, and basically there's a part in that book where she like has a rotten run of injuries, and she was told by one of her coaches that her best running was ahead of her because she had so much injuries when she had so much success when she was really young. Then in like the kind of 20 to 24 range, she had so much injuries. They were like, look, you clearly have talent that once your body has caught up with you, you're going to be so much more successful. And then obviously, she went on to be silver medalist in Europe and gold medalist in Europe, and represented Ireland at two Olympics and qualified for a third one, but had to pull out at the last second. So looking at that, I definitely think people being like Evan Ferguson's finished are completely missing the point here, because the growth of a player is not linear. It's not he scores for Brighton on his debut and he's going to only get better every single year, every single game, every single season. That's just not how it works, and especially when he has injuries. So I think a successful season for him is if he can hit even 10 goals. If all the reports coming out of Genoa are that he's been a great hold-up player. He's bringing players into the match. He's getting chances to score. It doesn't even matter if he's not scoring them, if he's just putting himself in position. And I think most importantly, if he plays more than 25 matches, or if he starts more than 20 matches, that's a successful season, hands down, because that's kind of what we need. But I mean, if I was looking around other leagues, let's say this season finishes and it doesn't really work out, and they're looking to sell him or whatever because he still has a contract till 2029. I mean, the leagues I would be looking at are the Eredivisie, go to one of the big 3 or 4 clubs there. If you're looking at Germany, Frankfurt, Leverkusen, Hoffenheim, Stuttgart. Frankfurt really stood out to me because they've developed a lot of really good strikers who are highly rated when they were younger, and then sold them on within a year basically for big fees. And then Marseille or Lyon also kind of need this really number 9 type striker that both are missing at the moment. So obviously this would be next season, so maybe they'll have sorted these issues, or some wonder kid will have come through at these clubs. But that's all my Evan Ferguson notes for today. So I hope you enjoyed my TED Talk.
Your point on the development not being linear is something that Colin Sheridan wrote about in the Irish Examiner this week, about how Ferguson started at a higher point than Parrott. Parrott had to take the long track after being highly touted in his career. he's made it there after making, a move where he gained a small bit of confidence and then another bit of confidence, and then he was more confident the next season. And then, basically his argument is that like Ferguson needs something like that. I think a good loan for him looks like somewhere that he scores maybe even less than 10 goals, but puts him in a shop window for a permanent transfer to like just a team that's going to take him and love him, because it's hard to gain on that confidence when you're going back to a team that doesn't want you. And of course, like Promise David that Brighton signed, they have a promise to sign him permanently. Sorry, that was terrible. So
They own both clubs. He
yeah.
owns both clubs. It's not even a promise. It's just like, this is like when you have a car and like you have a loan for the car and you're like, oh, I should buy that car. And it's like, no, you've bought that car. You just have to pay back the loan.
Yeah,
now.
it's pretty much it. But it looks like there isn't room for him there. My only worry with the Ferguson loan is that he's probably not going to be back fit till October, November. I mean, this loan talk has stalled a bit because it was looking like it was imminent 5 days ago. Now the reports were coming from Di Marzio, who I do not know of his like the credibility of that anymore. But yeah, I think maybe that the injury is why that we haven't seen a move after it's been said that it's imminent. But you've definitely taken the notes very well there, Conall. So thanks for your talk. Donald, do you have any opinions on that? What do you think it looks like before James suggests a move to Celtic?
Yeah, like I had kind of similar. Like, I think a successful season is a good run of games. Just like finding like the rhythm, the match fitness. He's just been so in and out recently. He needs a coach that like fully believes in him, because I don't think
Gasperini was not that.
Gasperini was not that.
The worst part of that move was Gasperini was getting there with him, and then he started praising him, and it was like a curse. As soon as he was sound to Ferguson, he just broke down then after not really being injured all season. But I mean, his move to Roma, like he did play well for Ireland although he wasn't doing it well for Roma, but he was starting to play well, and
we saw what he was like with that kind of rhythm. But then everything with Gasperini broke down, and he's never had. The last couple of years, he hasn't had the full faith of Brighton. I think he just needs to go somewhere. Like even I think Genoa would be nice because it's like a lower tier of Italian football club. Like they're kind of like the last 4 years they've finished within like the 11th to 16th range.
Yeah.
Like it's an under the radar club that he can build a good relationship with the fan base.
You said the thing. Oh, I've just seen they have De Rossi as their manager.
Yeah,
like that exactly. So it's a smaller club that he can build a relationship with the fans. He can get a string of games going, and he can develop like that faith from a coach that could even just some more positive like actions in games is what he needs. But if that move falls through, I think I'd like to see him go to Netherlands, or even like I'd like to see him go to maybe like a smaller like league like Portugal or France, just to like get some minutes and like maybe play Conference League or Europa League football as well, just to like get some experience in bigger games again, because I think he just needs momentum.
Yeah, and the Parrott Excelsior point was brilliant, because Parrott was very much the man at Excelsior. Like he was a high profile player. They were coming from England, because of how he was rated, especially by Mourinho at Tottenham. He was able to become, just score a few goals, doesn't matter what level it's at almost, and get a bit of confidence in yourself. James, why should he go to Celtic, do you think?
Well, we have Casper Ho now, so we're fine for number nines. I think we've said this a few times here. Like Evan's still only 21.
Every time I see a headline, I'm like, he's still only 21.
It's crazy.
It still trips me up every time, even though I feel like I see it every week.
Yeah, like it's I think a positive season for Evan looks like just him staying fit. I think the comparison to Troy is obviously there, but I think obviously Evan probably hasn't dropped down where he's going to go to a club like Excelsior yet. I would say, depending on this move to Genoa, like after this, like that could be on the cards. Like I think if this move to Genoa hopefully doesn't go bad, but if it does, and if he does get injured again, I think clubs will look at him now as someone who's obviously injury prone and seems to have kind of lost his way a bit. So then a move to Excelsior could be on the cards then. His stock may have dropped for that to happen, but I think the move to Genoa makes sense. Personally, I would have liked to have seen him go to maybe more of a minor league like Portugal. Portugal or Belgium, where he's going to be playing a team who is maybe more of a dominant team in their league. But yeah, I think that the main thing about this, whatever move Evan gets, is just about him staying fit, because like as I said, he's still only 21. As Conall said, like development in sport and in football isn't linear. Like Evan could not reach his best till 28 or 29, or he could get his career back on track in the next year or two, and he could be kind of on the same level as Troy. So it just depends how this move goes. But yeah, I think the main thing about whatever move he does get is just about staying fit and playing football.
Yeah, maybe he does make that move to Genoa, and we start hearing from Mr. Dolmio himself, James Horncastle, about how great he does over there. I think that would be an ideal.
He hyped up
situation.
hyped up the Roma move way too much.
Yeah.
I remember he was listing all the great Roma strikers in recent years, and then it just didn't happen.
He was a pre-season R9 last year, really, wasn't he?
Oh, the hype was great. Oh man, I was so excited.
Okay.
Didn't he have a hat trick against some like third division team, and everyone was like, "This is Evan Ferguson's season," in a match they won like 8-0 or something.
Yeah. That was
The most down bad international fan base in the world.
that is our motto of Ireland Radar. Like we will run with anything over here.
Out 5 goals in training, get him in the international team.
I probably wasn't even speaking to them. They weren't speaking to me. It's probably what my wife does to me when I'm in trouble, and she gets a better husband in the end.
But listen, we've won. We shouldn't be here. Little old shells, as people call us. Everyone hates us. I think we're in the division for another year, and we're in a final. Hey, it doesn't get any better. Well done. Thanks, Tony.
There's war zones absolutely everywhere. I'd happily be a barista.
Well, listen, the guys are in there singing songs. You just want to be careful what you play.
So if this doesn't work out, you might see me in a coffee shop. It's the greatest league in the world.
I don't think I go that far, but it's great to see the buzz. The grounds are more or less packed every week, Damien.
I would go that far.
Right, so we have a couple more things before we finish off. We'll try rattle through them pretty quickly. I kind of want to merge into who we think have made good transfers. We focused on this in our last episode, so we don't want to go on this too long, but I kind of want to look more so on the focal point of who do we think is going to emerge as national team players that maybe weren't in Heimer squads before, or just broke into Heimer squads, and who's going to stay there. Of course, players that broke in are like Sebastian Noel, who we talked about earlier, Jack Moylan, obviously, as well, and James Abankwah. Are they going to keep their places? We've seen moves from Mason Melia, where we've got a very competitive striker options now, where almost all of our strikers playing at the same level. What's that going to look like? A left back is looking competitive, and we've seen some great moves there for Tayo Adamarola, and Alex Murphy, of course, is a move I love, where him going to Kaiserslautern genuinely needed football and has made a good start to life there as well, already getting an assist. Donald, I'll start with you here. Is there anyone you see really getting into the squad? That doesn't mean they have to stake a name for their place, or for themselves, or just becoming an Ireland squad regular.
I'm like James. I'm like really high on the Jacob Devaney move to Hibs.
Yeah.
I think they've got like a really nice young like Irish core now there with Devaney, and hopefully Owen Elding when he gets that passport, like
he has it.
He got it.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think they said he got it in June.
Okay.
Or
yeah.
that was touted anyways. Maybe something.
He's definitely committed anyway. So
Yeah.
we don't need to talk about it.
Yeah, I think he'll be in the squad.
I hope he will. Yeah, because I think like that young pair at Hibs is just great. And then I think obviously just the Parrott move, like that's in the doc. Parrott
We've
like,
talked about that. Yeah, we wanted to do a best player section, but I think we all realised that we were either going to say one of Parrott or Kelleher. I'm going to try to take that. I think
Moylan?
Jack Moylan, perhaps. Yeah, I mean, he's made a really good start to life over there. I was going to say, I think Kelleher is going to get a Premier League move a bigger Premier League move next season.
Yeah.
And I just think he'll have a good season at
Back to
Brentford.
Liverpool.
Yeah, back to Liverpool. Maybe when Alisson goes, that'd be something nice. But I think Kelleher's someone that will make maybe in a goalkeeper merry-go-round or something. I've always my point with Kelleher is always like, look at Chelsea's goalkeepers. and he's better than all of them. And like Chelsea are a team that I think could finish in high places in the Premier League. Of course.
You're not on the Mike Pender.
I don't think I am.
Did he start for Chelsea the weekend, or was it?
They're playing
Rotherham?
today.
No, they're playing tonight. They're playing
Yeah.
half an hour.
Yeah, I can check their lineup.
Yeah, let's check the lineup.
Oh, yeah,
Sanchez is
check.
playing. Sanchez is playing. Yeah.
Shocker.
Yeah.
Live updates.
I think the left back situation is interesting. Will Ferry hasn't.
Are we back?
He hasn't made his move to Anderlecht yet. I think we announced that he had last week, and it hadn't.
No, it was close.
Yeah.
I believe it was reported as close.
Yeah, so I don't know if that one's going to happen. But do we think Ryan Manning is still going to be our left back next season?
Yeah,
or this
I
season going
think so.
forward? Like,
Especially,
I think it's definitely
so long as Robbie Brady does not have a club. Ryan Manning. Actually, did you see Ryan Manning at the weekend? The penalty he scored.
no.
He scored a penalty, but there was two players like trying to decide who would take the penalty, and they went and rock paper scissors for the penalty. Manning just took the ball and took the penalty himself.
That's good crack.
utter woke nonsense.
Yeah.
I think, like I was gonna say as well, like especially with the left back thing, I'm like really excited about the Alex Murphy move.
Yes, yeah. I mean, he's.
I think Kim Anna Dermola is really exciting. Like that left back picture
Yeah.
looks a lot better now, and like
And
Will Ferry,
Ramola's
from what I've seen from
my guy.
Yeah.
from what I've seen of Will
Ferry.
Ferry in Scotland, he looks like he's been so good against Rangers. He was top. I was kind of looking for us to sign him, to be honest, as a backup left back. Hopefully he does get that moved down there, because I think if he does and he's playing week in week out, he probably gets in the squad as the backup left back.
Yeah.
Can I throw out a name after his move almost fell apart, but then was completed? Joe Hodge at Motherwell. I think especially in this opening window where we're down a couple midfielders, and he's kind of like a similar type player to Josh Cullen as well. Like he's a bit better on the balls than some of the other midfielders.
We've talked about
have.
this before. We theorized they're the same person, to be honest.
So yeah, I have kind of Joe Hodge. I think that's just a good move in general. James probably knows more about Motherwell and watches more Motherwell than I do. But I know at least the manager they had last season, he left, but it's a new manager who is again likes playing like ball to feet type stuff. So
Yeah,
I think
I can attest the Motherwell being really, really good. Like this isn't like I know a lot of people's stereotype of Scottish football would be kind of bog ball and loads of lower league English players, but like Motherwell have went the complete other direction. They were outstanding last season, qualified for Europe. They were beaten by Freiburg in the playoff.
Yeah.
They were 1-0 up, to be fair, and like came against Freiburg, Europa League finalists. They're going to get bet, but like in that system that Motherwell play, the midfielders, I think both of them got moves this summer. They just like in the way Motherwell play, like just the midfielders do kind of tend to excel. So that's a really, really exciting move, and like Motherwell are a team who do play really good football. So can be really exciting to see how he gets on.
Yeah. Quickly, if we had to name 2 or 3 players who you think will stay in the squad after being brought in, or I'll go through it quickly. Actually, do you know what? This would be a better player to do it. I'll name a player, and if you think they're going to be involved in the next maybe 2 or 3 squads going forward, and what role they might play. First of all, obviously our boy Jack Moylan. How do we feel he does?
I think he's going to be. I think he's going to be a big player. From what the Cardiff Wrexham game I watched, he was genuinely the best player on the pitch. So energetic, taking people on. Physically, he looks so up to the level that is the Championship, which is a really good sign, because a lot of League of Ireland players have went there in the past, like Graham Burke and so on, and struggled. And also in the friendly, where he got sent off, he was outstanding in the first 45. So I can see him becoming a really key player for us.
Does Owen Eldon get the call up?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think all yes.
100%.
Especially if Evan Ferguson isn't fully healthy. It was part of the three strikers would probably be Parrott, Ida, Elding, just off the top of my head, unless I'm forgetting someone.
I think
probably those.
Amelia maybe if the squad down the line if he does well.
I think
Hibbs should be in Europe as well, which is a big plus for Elding, Devaney, McGrath.
he's also just so versatile. Like he's so versatile. He can literally play like all across that front line if he needs to as well.
Yeah,
like,
he could play as the kind of one of the 2 players behind if really needed.
Yeah.
Like he's such
off the right even as well.
Yeah, he's such a talented player. I think anything kind of suits him. But he's really big as well, which kind of helps. Like so if you need to play him up front and he needs to hold the ball up, he can do that as well. So yeah.
I know we all want him to be, but do we think Jacob Devaney will be in the squad when it comes the first game against Kosovo rolls around?
No.
Not the first.
I
don't
think
know.
if he's go on, Donald.
Oh, yeah,
I don't
just
think
to
so.
say,
No, I don't think so. I
maybe
think
not the first squad, but kind of by the internationals rolling around, like after New Year, I think when he's had time to like settle in and properly just get a bit of momentum going. I just don't know if he'll be ready for the first round.
Yeah, I think he's one of the ones who he's going to have to play for it, and I think we got a hint from that again. Was using those friendlies and those other games as hints of what we might see going forward. Him not being involved in a kind of an everybody eats squad is, I think it's a suggestion that he's maybe not as close as we think he is, and he will have to play well
I think
together.
that was down to him being involved with St Mirren though in the like the end of the Scottish season. I think clashed with that friendly.
Wasn't there a friendly that everyone could have played in? I'm not entirely sure, to be
I
honest.
don't know the details, but I remember the Scottish players. Not a couple of them get excluded in that like squad because of the Scottish. The end of the Scottish season was still going on. I think St Mirren were close. They were down relegation as well. So
yeah, I suppose we'll see. In not too long, it's going to be an extended break as well, so there might be a few ins and outs depending on injuries during the camp. Before we go, I want to see, guys, any of you have any hot takes and rattle them off? I'll start with Donald. Do you have one?
I didn't have one prepared, but I think like
something off the dome.
Something off the dome. I think a bold prediction. I think I could actually see Troy getting like 20 goals this season.
Well, that would be exceptional.
Crazy. That's my hot take. Yeah, because I just think the way just the fact that Pellegrini said something really interesting today, and he's like the kind of tactical system. It's like he thinks strikers are the least important thing in his tactical system. He plays the whole possession-based game to create space, and I think Troy is really good in like when he has that kind of space to get the shots off. He's so clinical that I think on the three like playmakers behind him, I think it could actually just really fall into his lap.
I like the way you think about that. I've always thought the way Parrott plays for Ireland that you could see, and that his football IQ, and maybe it's just be ahead of other attackers. I think he's a very intelligent striker.
Exactly.
He knows where to be, he knows to run in behind, and I think his link-up play is incredibly underrated. So you're saying an assistant that they're going to make it easier for him?
Yeah, like I think he's smart enough to like find that space.
Yeah, I mean it would be exceptional. I don't know if it will happen, but I could see where you come from. But that's what the hot takes are. For Conall Diggin, do you have one for me?
I have three.
Oh my God. All right.
I'll go from coldest to hottest, and I've seen you kind of have a similar thinking with my first one, which is Jacob Devaney and Owen Elding make their debut for the senior team, but I have it as they make their senior debut in the same match.
Okay.
that was going to be akin to one of mine.
Yeah, my second one is Kieran Kilduff goes to one of Pat's or Bo's in
Pretty reasonable
this season. Yeah. And then the last one is I was just looking through like League of Ireland stats and stuff, and I said Daryl Horgan or Ross Tierney to get an Ireland call-up just for fun.
Yeah, I actually saw the Daryl Horgan thing earlier, and that was going to be one of mine, but I think no.
I do think the Ross Tierney one could actually happen. Like the more I think about it, especially with the midfield stuff,
he looked pretty good against Michelin from what I watched. So if that's any kind of test, maybe he'll be the next bit of clamour, the next bit of League of Ireland clamour to get a call up, especially if we're looking for someone who can pass a ball a bit as well. James,
score a banger too.
Do you have one, or did Conall just take yours?
I think Devaney will be in the next squad. I was really surprised he didn't get a championship move, to be honest. After his loan spell at St Mirren last season, I watched him at Celtic Park, and he was genuinely probably better than all three of our midfielders. So I'm really surprised that he get a move to like a mid-table championship club or something. So I think he'll be in the next squad in September. And I probably not that hot of a take, but I think Jack Moylan will probably start over Finnazaz.
I can see them starting together. I
think they'll start together. I think they'd start.
They could, yeah, definitely. I think Moylan, as I said earlier, will be a huge player for us anyway.
The thing with them is if you play wing backs, you can definitely get away with playing two number 10s that kind of drift out wide a bit, you know.
And they are different players. Like Moylan's obviously more physically inclined, can take players on, whether Finnazaz is obviously more of that kind of traditional number 10. And a third hot take I'll just try out is I think Teo Adaramola might make the squad as well.
I had him starting at left back in a thing where I was just for fun. I had him in at left back, so I fully agree with you, James.
Yeah. My hot take is probably the saddest of them all. I hate to end of the show. And I think I'm a person who's largely been a lot more positive since we've been making the show on a consistent basis. But I do think I see a world, and I think it's more unlikely, but it is entirely possible that in the next Ireland camp, which is the first of these extended breaks, where you've got 2 international camps in one, that it's entirely possible we see a world where Ireland don't win any of their games, although they're not playing any hard opponents. There's a huge elephant in the room, which we've discussed an awful lot in the show. We have 2 games against Israel. I mean, the pressure is going to be hanging over Ireland. Serbia are no mugs as well, and then a game against Kosovo, you could end up drawing that easily. I think it's there's a point where Ireland could come out of this with no points. You're also wondering is it a bit deflated after not qualifying for the World Cup? Hamer's whole thing was, we'll qualify these boys. Is the Euros Euros that you're most likely going to qualify without any of your performance coming into account much of a motivator for the Ireland squad after the loss? I don't know.
Could we not say we could go into any international camp and lose both games, or
Yes.
not win either games?
Oh, absolutely. But yeah, I mean, there's 2 international camps in one, so it's what, 4 games.
Yeah.
So I think the mood would be pretty low if that happened.
Definitely a plausible scenario, given like if that midfield is shaken up, as it is, and in what it could be, given the lack of availability for some of our senior players, that might not translate well, given obviously players who haven't played in midfield at international level much, giving them that chance in across the 4 games, that might not end well. So it's definitely a plausible scenario, I would say.
I'm interested to see with the kind of extended window if like at least maybe this will be something that develops over time, but like if you have, usually we're gone from a week and a half basically with your team to now having almost a month at least in this kind of first window. Like, will it change how the international game is almost played, where teams are able to be more tactical instead of, like Spain are really the only team who you can look at and be like, they have a certain tactic where they can do it simply because every team in Spain plays the exact same way, while a lot of international soccer is, okay, get these lads in, get the basics perfect, and then let the flair players see what they can do. That seems to be the way with a lot of teams.
It's going to definitely almost feel like a mini Champions League group stage or something, with like 4 games like across those couple of weeks.
I think it'll be very good for the Nations League as a whole as well, because you'll see what each game means, and we're going to come into soon enough the extended Nations League as well. Which
it becomes literally more of a league if you have more matches within a smaller amount of time.
I think it's something that's going to get like a lot of backlash, a lot of criticism at the start, but I mean, the idea of it, the extended break, I am a fan of. I think it's better to have it all at once rather than broken up throughout the season, I think.
I think I just play too much Football Manager, where I've become too accustomed to it at this stage, where like I'm like, oh, this is the season where that happens. Yeah, I remember that. And then you're like, but when you play it, you do just kind of get used to it, and you're like, actually, this is like, obviously that's not how it works in real life, where I can't just go and let me scout players like in this 2-week break here. But I think it does allow for a bit of at least if you're an international fan, it may be different for the bigger nations, because especially England fans always seem to complain about international soccer, but in Ireland we do actually care about it. So I'm excited. I think it'll be good. I think it allows you to keep more of a buzz around the team than just having a buzz for a week, and then the second match is done, then we talk about how bad they were for a week. While now we can at least be like, well, in the next match they can set things right, and this is what they can fix and all that.
Yeah. On that note, I think we are going to wrap up the show for today as well. Even though I ended kind of on a sour note, I would like to say that I'm very excited for the season going forward. I think we laid out a lot of points to be excited about. I always love in international football, and especially in Irish international football, I think it lends itself to it when we have so many players playing at the same level. Is the new faces that can come in. I'm excited for that. I'm excited to see what the next evolution of Hal Gibson's squad looks like. And I'm excited to be back playing competitive games again. I sure hope it will be a good season, and I do have confidence for it. In that, thank you guys for joining me. Donald in the studio, thank you for coming in. Conall, James, thank you, and we'll see you all next time.